right, and then our next speaker for today, we have Ms. Yamanaka, who is the Diversity and Outreach Manager at UOP School of Dentistry. As a first-year generation college student, she's very passionate about supporting students from underrepresented backgrounds. She co-founded the Mosaic Mentorship Program to provide guidance and support to first-generation college graduates and dental students. And now she's here with us. Thank you so much for coming today. And then the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Nilfar, and thank you all for being here. Super excited to come and share more about the Dugoni School program with you. And I do have a presentation that will be about half an hour, so we'll have lots of time for questions and answers after that. So let me share my screen. Okay, so yes, I am the Diversity and Outreach Manager at the Dugoni School. I have been with the University of the Pacific for going on 6 years right now. And I initially started in, let me just hide everything so it doesn't block. Let's see. Okay, perfect. I started in academic affairs, so I got to know a lot of the faculty closely and help support their coursework, their departments, build exams through ExamSoft. But I also got to support the students, and really that is my passion, to make sure to be a part of your journey and make sure that you feel supported in every which way to get you through graduation. So now I am in the Admissions and Student Services Department, and so I do help a lot with outreach as well as the admissions process, and then of course student support through Mosaic program and through our cultural affinity groups. So a lot of you may have heard this infamous quote by our Dean Emeritus Dr. Arthur A. Dugoni. And so his infamous quote that we share very, very often is, "At Pacific, we grow people, and along the way, they become doctors." And you know, it is my belief that education shapes us, and I think education is it's a wonderful thing that can help us grow into the people that we are meant to be. And I hope that is, our paths are to support other people and build community in every which way that we can. And so as future health care providers, that is my goal, to create an environment that fosters, of course, who you are as a person. And so that when you go out into the world and you help the community, you can help them be the best people that they can be as well. And so Dr. Arthur A. Dugoni, he passed away in 2020, but his legacy continues to live on campus. His name probably comes up very often in everyone's meetings and presentations, because he just left such a warm and welcoming environment to everybody. So we are located at 155 5th Street, and we welcome everyone to come and visit us for a campus tour. I'll have information about that later. I don't have a lot of photos, but again, please join us on campus for a tour if you are able to. We always, we're always looking to invite pre-dental students as well as pre-dental clubs and organizations. So as you know, the applications are officially open and you are able to submit. So we have a rolling admissions at the Dugoni School. Our cycle kind of looks like this. So June, of course, the applications are open. We start reviewing. September, I would say late September, we start interviews. We'll call for interviews around mid-September. And then our interviews actually go through April. And so, looking at, okay, what is considered early? I would say applying by September, October is still considered early for us if you want to be, called for an interview and then of course make the December 15th interview acceptance date. So September, October is still early, but not, that doesn't mean if you apply in November, December, or even January that you are not going to make the interview timeline for us. So as many schools mentioned, we do look at your application holistically. And so of course we have your academics, and really this is to make sure that you are able to keep up with our 3-year rigorous curriculum and also clinical experience. And so as you may or may not know, we are one of 2 now 3-year programs. And so it's not that we, lessen your clinical experience, and we definitely don't lessen your didactic work. We are kind of year-round. So we matriculate in July, mid-July, and then we go through mid-June. And so there's limited breaks. Unfortunately, you won't get a 3-month summer break. You have at most 1 month. And then you do have a week break in between each quarter. And so we have 4 quarters a year. So academics, of course, we're going to look at your coursework. And speaking of coursework, when we look at your application, we want to look especially at the last 2 years of your schoolwork. And so what we want to see is, I would say a minimum of 2 to 3 science courses, especially required courses for us, per semester or quarter. And that will show your ability to kind of multitask and work on multiple coursework, science coursework, at one given time. DATs, of course. More recently, I've been hearing a lot of students recommending applicants to take the DAT the summer prior to applying. So that way you have kind of a summer break to start studying, and then you can take the DATs rather than, I do see a lot of student or applicants coming in with taking the DATs in the spring semester or quarter while they're still taking coursework. And I know that's extra challenging probably because you're trying to focus on both things. So yeah, I think taking it during the summer is good. We do accept DAT scores that are 2 years. And so that'll give you a lot of time, just in case. Course load sufficiency. So that's what I mentioned. Taking a minimum of 2 to 3 science courses at once is what we would like to see. And GPA, I'll talk about our GPA in a little bit. And non-academic. So, on top of the academics, of course, we want to see that'll show that you can successfully complete your didactic courses along with our simulation and clinical experience. But we also want to see who you are as a person, right? So we want to, see letters of recommendations from 2 faculty, preferably science professors, and then a dental professional if possible, or it could be a supervisor. And so this will kind of show your soft skills, your interest, your personality more than what we see on your transcript. Your personal statement, probably the hardest thing to write and possibly the hardest thing to complete on the application, I think. And then also I hear that from other people. It is hard to write about yourself and making sure that you include everything that you want to show who you are as a person and what you'll bring as a student. And so what I recommend is having as many people from different parts of your community read your personal statement. And that way, just in case you miss something, they can advise you to include it. And so, have a friend read it and provide you with comments. Have a supervisor read it, a professor for sure, and then a family member if possible. So have as many people look it over as possible. It's one of the things that you want to start as early as possible as well. That way you have time to really work on it and make it your best. So extracurricular and leadership, this is, again, another thing that you're already focusing on your academics during undergrad. How do you include or add extracurricular on top of that? Try as hard as you can if possible. I know it's hard, but we do love to see community outreach. We love to see longevity in terms of club and organizational involvement. If you're able to join a leadership role, go for it. That is, something that we definitely look for in an applicant. And it's amazing how that transcribes into when you are a dental student, you then enter into a leadership role as well. Dental experience, it's not a requirement for us, but it is highly recommended. And I think that along with the shadowing, will add to kind of your confirmation that dentistry is what you want to get into. And of course, manual dexterity. We have a lot of students who play musical instruments, do arts and crafts, ceramic making. So anything that can kind of just get your hands moving, perceptual ability thinking, go for it. Okay, so the DATs, for us, competitive score is 21 and above for the subjects. You know, again, that's an average. And so along with all of the other requirements, GPA, non-academic experiences, we kind of, it's like a balancing act, I want to say. So it's not, you know, if you have under 21, you're not going to get called for an interview. It really just depends on all of your other things. So if you have had a chance to look at our requirements, you'll see these as our highly recommended coursework to take during your undergrad. Human anatomy, I would say, is probably the top recommended course, followed by histology and microbiology, I would say. So if you're able to take those courses, that we've seen has helped you during your has helped our students during their first year, especially for their didactic courses. Aside from these science courses, I also want to recommend taking a language course. Specifically for us, I think Spanish is one of our highest non-English language in the clinic. And so I know most recently we've had less students coming in with Spanish speaking fluency. And so, you know, that I think will only benefit you if you come in with a second language. So definitely recommend learning a second language. For San Francisco, I would say Spanish, Cantonese, and Mandarin will be the top 3. So you're called for an interview, and this is what your day would look like. So we are doing all in-person interviews with the exception of maybe 2 to 3 virtual interview days. Again, we go from late September through April. It's an all-day affair. You'll come in, we'll check in, we'll do a short welcome. Stan Constantino, our Dean of Admissions, will do kind of an overview of the program, kind of what I'll be sharing today. We have Natalie Arias, she's our Assistant Director of Financial Aid. She'll come and present to you. We have a little break, and then at 12 o'clock, you'll either have a school tour with a current student or a faculty interview, which is an hour long. 1 o'clock, you'll have a half-an-hour student interview with a student, I should say, and then followed by a Q&A session, informal lunchtime with our current first years. And then 2 o'clock, either your faculty interview or school tour. 3 o'clock, you have a presentation from one of our administrators or department chairs. And so they go more in depth of what you do in clinic, your clinical experience and competencies, as well as your personalized instruction program, which is kind of like your final kind of creative project that you can work with others on. And kind of, we've had students create, you know, our dental boot camp out of that. They've created a mission trip. So it's really your opportunity to kind of leave like a living legacy here at the school. And then also they'll talk about, of course, didactic and curriculum, followed by a short reflection, and then that's it. But it's a long day, it's a lot. But I think, you know, coming to the campus, meeting our current students, meeting faculty and administrators, you can't really replace that as, you know, as a virtual thing, but we do offer virtual interviews as well. It is kind of mostly the same thing, but a little compacted and shorter. So what do we look for in an interview or during your interview? So again, you'll have an hour interview with a faculty member or administrator, and then a half-an-hour interview with a current student. So what we want to look for is, of course, your critical thinking, your experience academically and non-academically, how you've handled challenging times, whether it's life in general or academically through education. Are you a team player? We wanna, we definitely foster collaboration, and we really support that, and we love to see collaboration between our students. Well, students and faculty as well, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. We wanna make sure that you have values that mirror ours, and your end goals that we can help you achieve. And of course, we want to see how you communicate and interact with other people, because you will be a dentist. You're going to be interacting with the public and your community, and we want to make sure that you are an effective communicator, and looking especially at your interpersonal communication. So GPA average for us, it's about a 3.5 to 3.6, I would say, for GPA right now. So just going to share a little bit why students choose the Dugoni School. So top choice, we are a 3-year program, of course. So you'll have that additional year of practice or going into residency or specializing. Second reason is the humanistic and Dugoni family culture that we have at the school. We're a really small campus. We are 5 floors in a small footprint. So it is hard to avoid each other. And I really appreciate that, actually. So, we do become really close with each other. For me, it gets harder and harder every year that especially in admissions, because I see them from the start to the finish. And so, even I get to build relationships with our students, and I get sad when I see them graduate, but I know that, they're going to be amazing healthcare providers in the community. Curriculum attracts our applicants, and of course, our clinical experience. We've heard many times that our graduates, especially when they go through maybe an AEGD or GPR, they're there with other graduates from other schools, and they feel very confident in getting ready to practice and work in the clinic. Our faculty and staff. Our faculty are amazing. A lot of them come with so much rich experience, private practice experience, community health experience, service experience. And so having them take time out of practice and come and teach, there's something so special about that. And I think that makes them so much better as faculty. Interview day, as I mentioned, nothing can replace coming onto campus, meeting people face to face, and hearing their experiences. Our facilities, of course, we're still pretty brand new. We've been at this location since 2014. So our building is, I should say, our building is fairly brand new. We try to maintain, of course, and then also replace equipment that is, top of the line, making sure that we are moving right along with how dentistry is moving forward. Family and friends. The San Francisco Bay Area, UCSF was just talking, and San Francisco is a very, very special place. So I was born and raised in Hawaii. I moved here for graduate school, and I never left 10 years later. So something about it. If you haven't been to San Francisco, whether or not you choose to apply to the Dugoni School, definitely visit. It's a very special place. Bring a jacket, just in case. Of course, our alumni and other reasons that they did not disclose is, as far as why they chose the Dugoni School. So looking at curriculum, again, we're 3 years. So I'm going to talk shortly about what the 3 years will look like. So year 1, this is a critical transition piece, right? You're coming from undergrad, maybe you've taken a gap year. Undergrad, right? You have maybe classes Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday through Thursday, Tuesday, Thursday if you're lucky. First year, you will have class Monday through Friday, and this is going through all 3 years. Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. You will likely be in the simulation lab until 11:30 when they close at night, so during the week. And then you will likely be there on the weekends, especially for the first 2 to 3 quarters, I would say. So it is a transition for sure. I would, definitely as you start your application process, and if you decide to apply to the Dugoni School, reach out to us, reach out to current students, join our virtual admissions days that will be starting in July. And so be on the lookout for that. We're going to have panels, from current students, graduates, because I think the more you know about a program going into it, the better for you, right? So year one, you're going to be half focused on didactic courses. So it's a continuation of what you've been taking during your undergrad or post-bac or a master's program. So you're going to have your biomedical science courses along with integrated clinical science courses. And so that one looks more at like patient care. So you're going to look at communicating with patient care. You're going to look at LGBTQ patients, working with them, working with geriatric patients. During the third quarter of this course, fourth quarter of this course, you're going to start practicing on each other, different parts of the clinic. And so that's exciting. The other half is going to be all preclinical. So you're going to start working in the sim lab half-time. And so again, aside from the transition of going, part-time coursework to full-time Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, you're also going to be trying to balance didactic courses and preclinical coursework. And so for us, we start drilling teeth, I would say the second week of school. Exciting, super exciting, but it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of prioritizing and making sure that you spend enough time on both bioscience courses and your sim lab. And the hardest thing I think sometimes for folks is to ask for help. And I do want to stress that as you enter dental school, do not be afraid to ask for help. It is a skill to ask for help, and I really encourage you to start asking for help, because that is the only way that you can get through. White coat ceremony. So as you enter your second year, you're going to be coated with your beautiful white coat as you start clinic. So I believe during your second week, you'll start half-time in the clinic and then continuing half-time didactic coursework during your second year. So again, continuing your biomedical science courses, and then also we add in practice management with Dr. Natasha Lee. And so for those of you who are looking to own a practice or be a part of a practice, that's a really good course for you. And then of course, ethics, clinical, we're continuing that. As you make your way through your second year, you're gonna start taking pre-doc ortho courses, pediatric courses, endo. And so as you complete them successfully, you'll start to rotate through the clinics. And so let's see. I'll talk about rotations in a little bit, but third year, you're pretty much full-time in the clinic, along with, aside from these final courses, jurisprudence, practice management, and then of course your prep for state licensure. So our dental clinics, we have 2 floors of general dentistry. We also have our care clinic for patients with HIV. We have our pediatric dentistry, endo clinic, oral and maxillofacial surgery clinic, and ortho clinic. So those are our 4 specialties on campus, and 2 of which have resident programs. The other 2 do not. I'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. And then we have dental hygiene students who are working on their bachelor's degree who rotate through different parts of the clinic with us. They will also teach you at one point. We have our emergency clinic, which you are mandated to rotate through, but also if you would like to volunteer during your breaks, you can do that as well. We have radiology rotations as well, and then special care and hospital dentistry rotations. So our patients come from all over the Bay Area. As I mentioned, we're at 155 5th Street. That is located kind of central downtown San Francisco. And so we're easily accessible via BART, via underground Muni, our bus system, and then also the ferry. So, we're very accessible to all over the Bay Area. And so we have over 28,000 patients. On average, annually, we provide $14 million of care. We screen, so that's new incoming patients, around 70 to 80 per week. And then we have started virtual screening, of course, since the pandemic. So our clinic model, I forgot to mention, while you're in first year in the sim lab, you're broken up into 8 pods, as we call them. And so there's 18 of you per pod. But then as you transition to clinic, you'll be in 6 group practices, as we call them, and they very much mirror a private practice. And so you'll have a lead faculty there, as well as a coordinator to really help you with your patient records, patient appointments, all of that. And so you really get close to whoever's in your group practice. You'll have IDS students now working alongside of you. IDS students are, of course, our internationally trained dentists who are completing a 2-year program instead of 3. So we have a competency-based dental education, and this ensures that you have a true understanding of what you'll be doing in the dental clinic, and as you prepare for private practice or a residency. Technology, we have CAD/CAMs. We're just starting, I would say, 3D printing a lot more in our clinic. 3D scanning, digital dentistry, and then, of course, our Zoom telehealth care has really helped with the initial screening and patient intake. So as I mentioned, rotation. So starting your second year, you'll start rotating through oral surgery, pediatric, endo, and orthodontics clinics. And those are all mandatory, as well as the other ones mentioned. External rotations will begin your 3rd year, and these are randomly assigned, mandatory still. And these are usually a week per quarter, if I'm not mistaken. But we have, currently we have La Clinica in Oakland, excuse me, San Mateo General Hospital, the San Mateo van, and On Lock. And then we're also trying to really start up our Sacramento rotation. That one's a little challenging because of the distance, and it is a week long. So looking at lodging and all of the accommodations for that. So this is a few years old, but this is just looking at our postgraduate and residency statistics. So we do have students who go on to apply for residencies or AEGDs and GPRs, as well as specialties. And, because we're a 3-year program, it may seem a little challenging as far as timeline and making sure that you have your grades in, you have any kind of, letters of recommendations to help you apply and get into a specialty specifically. But we have amazing resources for you. And so Dr. Craig Yarborough, he's one of our, he's a faculty, but administrator as well. He is an amazing resource if you are interested in applying for a specialty. And so our recommendation is utilize your first half of your first year to shadow, even if you're a little interested in any kind of specialty, shadow in the clinics just to, make sure that that's what you want to do. And if so, then you just start building those relationships with the faculty in the clinic. Start, assisting once you get to second year, and then start volunteering your time to spend more time in those respective clinics and specialties as you make your way through your second and third year. So our students do amazing work, and we want to highlight them. We want to celebrate them and have them present and give them an opportunity to share what they've been working on for the last year. And so we have our OKU Sutro Excellence Day. This past year, we surpassed 85 participants. We've recently included first years to share what they've been working on in their in the sim lab. We have faculty and administrators judging each of the categories. And so this focuses on research, of course, clinical work, and personalized instruction programs. So again, that's kind of like your final project, a way to leave a living legacy at the school once you graduate. And there are cash prizes available for certain awards. There's also travel opportunity for some of the organized dentistry awards. But it's just an overall great opportunity for our campus to get together and support our dental students in all of the work that they've been doing. Our Alumni Association is probably the most active in the nation. And so we have, usually alumni boards or associations get involved as you approach graduation. We start off in your first week or first 2 weeks of matriculation and starting your first year. So they start off by welcoming you with a wonderful cioppino dinner, which is a San Francisco specialty. It's a seafood stew. A lot of our faculty, long-time old faculty and alumni will come and they'll cook it for you. They'll do regular donut days and kind of just support you while you're going through your dental program. Student life. I honestly don't know how our students have time to get involved. And it's amazing because, again, we're 3 years. Second year seems to be the most heavy as far as didactic courses, and then you're transitioning and starting clinic. But second year is when most of our students become officers, and they get more involved with volunteering. So I honestly don't know how they do it. Probably they ask for help, right? So we have all of these support programs. Dugoni Peer Support Program, which is a peer support, peer created program. And so that's more emotional, just any kind of support you need, really. And then you'll be partnered with a peer, upperclassmen, to kind of help you get through dental school. We, of course, have our university counseling and psychological services available. We have our Sexuality and Gender Alliance group that was just started by our current graduating class. And so this is the first of our kind at the Dugoni School. It's been a long time. It amazed me that we didn't have anything like it. And so I'm so proud of our students for creating this group, for creating an environment that really encourages and embraces everyone as they are. And then, as mentioned, the Mosaic Mentorship Program. And so this really, it was created to support first-generation college students and college graduates. Also supporting historically underrepresented students with dentistry especially, and first in your family to pursue dentistry as a career. So we pair you with a faculty mentor, some of them which have the same background and experience as you. Others, they just want to help, right? They want to make sure that you succeed. And then this coming year, as our new students matriculate in July, we're going to start not so much doing like a big little partnership or pairing, but we're just going to open it up for our upperclassmen, D2s and D3s, to really support our incoming Mosaic students. So student research, we have all the opportunities you could ever want to get involved with research. Most times our faculty will reach out to students who they see, possibly would love to collaborate with, get involved with their research. Other times, if you're interested as a student in a certain area, find a mentor, find a faculty mentor, and they're always open to doing research with you and supporting you. Dental mission trips and community outreach. As I mentioned, one of our students created the Philippines, I believe, dental outreach trip as a personalized instruction project. So that was their PIT project. They created an amazing mission trip. But we do have our long-standing trips to Guatemala, Jamaica, which we recently restarted since the pandemic. And then scope, I'll talk a little bit about in a little while, but that is mainly our community outreach and volunteer organization. So here's a photo from last September. Our group of students and faculty went to Jamaica for their week vacation. They didn't have a vacation, but they spent it in Jamaica providing screenings and oral health care. So we do have a lot of clubs and organizations. Again, I don't know how they get involved and you know, run these organizations. If you do not see a club that you know are drawn to and you think that we're missing something, we're always looking to create clubs and any way that we can support you. And of course, we have organized dentistry, so ADA, American Dental Education Association, ADIA, and then CDA involvement as well. So more photos of our student life. As you can see from this slide, we love to eat. So we have our Trapino dinner, as well as our annual Bridge Builders event, which is really to bring everybody together and enjoy different cultural meals together. Our dean on the right loves to take a selfie every year with our incoming class. More photos. We have intramural sports available. Dr. Craig Yarborough organizes that. And then we also have our community wellness and health and wellness committee as well that does golfing. They do hikes throughout, urban hiking throughout the city. So scope, I do want to elaborate more on this. Again, it's our community and volunteer group. It's really run by you, our students, especially during your second year, as I mentioned. And so we have a few legacy events. We have our Senior Smiles and Wellness Health Fair, Give Kids a Smile, Give Veterans a Smile. We do our YMCA Chinatown event. And so we're always looking to create legacy events that support our community and surrounding community in San Francisco. And then of course, graduation. So it is in the beautiful Masonic up in Nob Hill. You'll be hooded by either your GPL, your group practice leader, or a family, or your mentor. But it's just, you know, a wonderful celebration for all the hard work that you've done over the past 3 years. So again, as I mentioned, we want to welcome you to our campus for a campus tour. Email sf_admissions@pacific.edu if you are interested in visiting. You can either come on your own, or if you have if you're part of a pre-dental group on campus, we'll accept you as well. Yeah, and actually the background of this slide is a photo, of course, of the original College of Physicians and Surgeons, the original building of our school. Any questions?
Thank you so much for the amazing presentation. It was really comprehensive. I really enjoyed listening to it. And yes, of course we have questions. So I am going to pick a few questions from the audience. So we have one question here. If I took all my prereqs at a community college and aced them, would a high GAT back the fact that the prerequisites were taken at a community college, or would I need to do a post-bac program to make myself more competitive?
That's a really good question. So for us, we accept community college coursework. I would say it really depends on everything else, of course. But I would say it wouldn't help. It wouldn't hurt, I should say. It wouldn't hurt to do a post-bac, only because that'll show a higher level of science coursework done in the past 2 years. Because I'm assuming if you've taken all of your prerequisites at the junior college, then you've had 2 years post as working on other coursework other than maybe science courses.
Yes. And moving on to the next question. I guess you briefly mentioned that, but considering that UOP is a 3-year program, like, how do you find students like balance all the didactic coursework, but at the same time, I've had so many friends who went to UOP for dental school, and they also had an amazing student life, amazing social life, and they sounded like they're loving it. So to me, going to a 4-year dental school program, it was pretty heavy and a lot of work. So I'm always surprised about how UOP students do that.
I don't know how they do it, honestly.
Do they have some kind of special support that was never offered to us?
I think that's what I think, right? Well, you know, it's from I've been working in student support or
Yes.
Student life and student
Mhm.
support for so long. It's amazing how how am I going to say this? Students who get involved more,
Mhm.
interestingly, do better or have an easier time.
Mhm.
I think it's because they build a sense of community. They have a sense of belonging. It helps with purpose, and having that close-knit support among your peers helps you get through it. But also learning to ask for help. So don't wait till you're already struggling. If you have I'm having a hard time, ask for help right away. I think that's going to help you make it through. And really, it's the transition period. It's the transition from undergrad or post-bac to your first year. And so the first 3 quarters are going to be the most challenging, I would say. And then fourth quarter of your first year is fun. You're going to be exploring all the different parts of clinic and having an introduction, working on each other. You're going to have your first patient. So that's fun. And then second year, right, you're going to transition then to clinic. So that's another transition period. So ask for help. That's all I can say. And find your community. And I think we do a really good job of having a lot of organizations that are there already. But again, if you don't see something that you want to see on campus, we're always welcome to create it.
Thank you so much. And I guess going back to the question that UOP is a 3-year program, when would be a good time for dental students to start thinking about residency, and what are the steps they need to be taking to prepare their application for residency?
Yes. So I would say during your first year, just focus on that. Focus on, finishing strong, especially your first half. I would say maybe your fourth quarter of your first year, you can start shadowing one of our specialty clinics if you're interested in an area. I've had many students who will share that, I started dental school with the intent of specializing in pediatrics. And then they started taking all of our courses, and then they changed their mind to endo or something. So it's never too early to start shadowing in those clinics and then build partnerships and relationships with those faculty, and then go from there. I think it's critical, I would say, maybe during your second year, because you're going to start applying during your second half of your second year to those programs. So build those relationships during the first half of your second year, reaching out to faculty that you think can provide you with a good letter of recommendation. And then they will help you from there.
Got it. And then since applying for residency is also a lot of competitive, are there research opportunities that students could be involved in at UOP in case they're interested in, or they want that to be part of their resume?
Yes. So again, you can, if you are interested in research, I would say meeting with faculty as soon as possible. And then also they reach out to you if they see that you have strength in a certain area. They will reach out to you and see if you're interested in partnering with them and getting involved with their research. But yeah, there's a lot of research opportunity. We have 4 research clinics on campus, and we have amazing faculty that are heavily involved with research.
Got it. So the next question, so since UOP is a private school, so I guess the question is, what are the financial aid opportunities? Like if there are any scholarships, anything that can aid students with managing the tuition for the school?
We have amazing financial aid resources. I forgot to include their email here, but I'll put it in the chat. We do not have a lot of scholarships, unfortunately. We do have some, but most of our students will take out loans. We do have, of course, our service scholarships if you want to get involved with community health, who will often cover all 3 years of your tuition or 2 years with a commitment of, I believe it's 3 years at a community health clinic post-graduation. And then, of course, the service, Army or Navy scholarships available as well. But as far as our, school scholarship opportunities, not a lot, but we do have some.
Great. Okay, so moving on to the next questions. What are the humanitarian opportunities or trips that dental students can take while they're in dental school?
Yeah, so right now, again, we have our Jamaica trip, which is often in September, October. And so that is taken during their quarter break. So instead of having a nice long week vacation, they will do a trip to Jamaica, provide treatment there, and they've been going to this specific clinic for 20 plus years. So faculty are seeing patients that they've seen, I would say 5+ years, and then of course our students are able to go twice. So they're able to go during their second year and then their third year. The same goes for Guatemala. So that trip is during our March-April quarter break. So right now, those are the 2 active mission trips. We also have we used to do a summer internship with IHS, Indian Health Services, during summer break. But that hasn't restarted since the pandemic, unfortunately, but hopefully we'll get those going. In the past, we've done trips to Mexico, Fiji, the Philippines, and China. And so hopefully things will pick up. And again, we've had mission trips created by our current students. So if you already have a partnership with a current clinic abroad, go for it. I would say, that's how these are created, through our students.
Got it. Yeah, those trips are very fun. At the same time, they're very, very rewarding. So I'm sure a lot of students would like to go to those ones. Moving on to the next question. So how's the structure of the clinic? Are there any requirements in terms of specific procedures students need to be doing in order to graduate? How does it work?
Yes, so of course there's, a list of graduation requirements. So as I mentioned, you have your group practice leader and a group practice coordinator who will have all of those requirements as you enter clinic and start. And so I believe our group practice leaders meet weekly among each other. So there's 6 of them. And usually patients will remain in each group practice. They don't want to throw them all over to the different areas of the clinic. And so they'll work with each other to make sure that the patients, services that they need are given to students who need that specific graduation requirement. And so we definitely make sure that each student will complete all of their requirements before graduation.
Okay. Amazing. And then in terms of the housing opportunities, because UOP is kind of located in San Francisco downtown areas, so where do usually most of the students live at?
So most of our students will live within walking distance. Pros and cons in our location, we have a lot of our apartment complexes nearby, which is great. But they are, sometimes you want the distance. You want a separation from school and home and relaxation. But I think a lot of our students do find it beneficial to be within walking distance. So we have Mossel, which is literally 5 minutes walk away. And then we have the George, which is brand new, built and opened last summer, 3 minutes walk away. And so we have a lot of apartment complexes nearby. We do not currently have any student housing officially. We are partnering with UC Hastings with their brand new housing, which is about, I would say, a 15 to 20 minute walk away.
Great. And I guess the most important question of the day, what kind of students UOP is looking for? And if someone has UOP as their first choice of dental school, what would you recommend them to do in order to be a more successful applicant?
Yes, so of course your academics, I'm just going to touch on the holistic part of the application itself. So academics, of course, ensuring that you take a minimum of 2 to 3 science courses during your last few semesters of undergrad or postbac or master's. That definitely strengthens your application. On top of that, of course, your DETs and GPA, but also I really value the non-academic side, who you are as a person, what you'll be bringing to the school. Not only that though, who will you be as a practitioner after you graduate? How are you going to treat your patients, all of your patients equally? And yeah, I think working with others as well. You know, we try to foster a non-competitive environment and make sure that our students support each other, and they do an amazing job. And it's weird to say that I think the pandemic helped with that, because everything was virtual, everything, the things that were created from the pandemic and being hybrid or being completely virtual really, you know, has strengthened, I think, the partnership between our students. And so, you know, they're always sharing notes with each other, doing, you know, group meetings after school already, after 8 to 5, after a long day of school, they're continuing to meet and support each other. So I think just demonstrating teamwork, collaboration, and a humanistic approach to your education as well as to patient care.
Okay. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions from the audience? I'm going to give them 1 minute to see if someone has any other questions.
And let me just send our financial aid email in the chat. So definitely reach out to Marco or Natalie, and they can answer any of your questions about loans, what the loan repayment looks like for our current students, and then scholarship opportunities.
Yeah, thank you so much. That should be great information. Someone's asking a question about Casper test. I personally never had to take this test, but I was wondering if you have any information about this.
I'm not familiar with that. So I can't answer that question, but if whoever asked that question wants to do a follow-up, please email SF admissions and I can look into that.
Thank you. All right. I think that's it for this part of the presentation. I really appreciate your time and like we took up your Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, so we really appreciate you coming. And thank you so much for the great presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Mahajarani. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great Saturday.
Thank you. You too. Have a great Saturday.